Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harriet Creates. In this episode, I will be trying to amend the windows on the sides of the house. So, this is back to our regular episodes. So, for this, I am borrowing my partner's old calipers, I believe they're called, and I am just going through and retaking more precise measurements in millimeters specifically for the windows. And this is so that I have a more accurate record of what they are. The measurements I took before were done quite rudimentarily with just a normal ruler, whereas these are a little bit more precise. They've got little pins on that allow you to really get in there. And so, yeah, and once I have those, I can then pop them into the document that I have with all the measurements in. It's colour-coded because I need a way to differentiate it. For those of you who don't know, I have dyslexia, so looking at things that are black and white is really tricky and incredibly draining for me. And so adding loads of colour and colour coding things so that I don't necessarily have to read everything is incredibly helpful, specifically when it comes to numbers or words. So that's why this document is all crazy colours, it's so that I can read it. So with that, I then take the measurements on the calipers and I am putting them onto the outside of this acrylic and labelling which window is which. Now this felt like a brilliant plan. However, as you will see later on in this video, the window frames that I have, so I've saved the original window frames. They're this wonderful green colour, but none of them are labelled. So I've got no idea which window is which, so I had to go back and start numbering them 1 to 4. Here is me measuring the inside panel. So there are little recesses on the inside, which is where the old acrylic used to sit, and I'm just taking some more accurate readings and then numbering the window frames 1 to 4. I am then re-measuring those measurements into the acrylic on the other side. So acrylic is covered on both sides with protective sheeting, and so I'm writing on the outside of that. I'm not writing on the actual acrylic itself. Once I had drawn out all of the window pieces, I then had to do a sneaky Google of how to cut acrylic, because it's not something that I am used to. There wasn't also an element of me trying to find, so I packed up all of my stuff for a job, and it means that throughout this video you will see me aimlessly looking for things. But yeah, Google said that if you get a sharp knife and are able to score it, if you score it enough, it then becomes like snappable, like on the edge of a table. Now, past Harriet isn't wearing any PPE, and past Harriet should have been wearing PPE, so let's all just learn from past Harriet, shall we? So yeah, after scoring and cutting, I think it was window 4 out of acrylic, I realised I could do it for all of them. So there's me trying to make a line so that I could just snap the end off. It went about as well as you could expect. I think I got Windows 1 and 2 out, and then Windows 3 decided to not snap at all, but to snap like halfway through. So I got a little sore. To free it, yes, this was as wild as it looks, and probably as dangerous. After that, and after the pieces were free, I then had a look about what kind of lattice pattern I wanted in the windows. Based on this house, I knew it had to be a diamond shape. I knew they potentially had to be quite thick because the windows are quite big. And once I had found a suitable design that I liked, I then attempted to put them into a Word document. This was mainly so that I could save on paper and ink, because I knew that I'd be printing them onto sticker paper. And I didn't want to burn through sticker paper because it's quite expensive. After failing with Word, I then moved on to Canva. And it allowed me to try out loads of different positions for everything, both the orientation of the document itself and the orientation of the pattern that I had found. I think I must have printed dummies twice and the real thing once. So the first dummy was to try and make sure the sizing was correct. So I roughly found a piece of A4 to hold up to my computer screen at this point so that I could get it the right way around. And then I drew on the back of that A4 the things that I was seeing, and then I put the windows next to it. They looked to be roughly the correct size, and so I printed them off. Once they were printed off, I made sure to hold them next to it and resize them if necessary. Now, whilst all of these bits were being printed, I just gave all of the acrylic a tiny shave and a sand to make sure that they really pop into their frames correctly. I didn't want to do anything to break or take away from the frames, as I think the frames are really beautiful. There are a couple of them with some holes in, so I'll need to go back and kind of fill the holes in and re-glue some corners because they are very, very old, and I think the glue has just stopped being a thing. Now, for the third window, I don't really have money to throw away at excess acrylic, so I tried to rescue as much of this as possible, kind of cutting around the bit that was a problem. And then shaving it all down so that it was smooth. It fit reasonably well. I think there's one corner where it is missing slightly more, so I might have to fill that in with UV resin, just so that there is an element of a window. It's not something that you would notice in passing. I think I know it's there because I'm the one putting the window together. Once I was able to get everything to fit, I then had clear measurements of how big I need the lattices to be. So I just resized all of the ones on Canva so that they were around roughly the right size. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to put dimensions in, or couldn't find an area to put dimensions in. So I was just having to do it by eye. But once it was done, I think I was pretty happy with the result. Once I had them, I was then able to print them off onto the sticker paper. Now I need my IPA, so the alcohol spray, in order to remove all dust, and I'd taken it with me on this job and I'd put it away and I couldn't find it, so that was me doing the dance of trying to find some IPA. This is where my project starts to derail and I stop really being happy with the results. So up until this point there had been a little hurdle with the acrylic, but I thought it was something that could be rectified. Because the acrylic is all different sizes, I had to make sure that the lattice was on straight, using the frame and not the acrylic. This proved a challenge because the sticker paper I'd used is incredibly sticky. The adhesive is incredibly strong, and it meant that once it was lifted up or once there was an air bubble under it, it became incredibly obvious because it would change colour. So it would go from being clear to having kind of like white lines all over it. So I tried several different methods, similar to how you'd put a screen protector on your phone, of putting this sticker paper, on this acrylic. After the first one, I tried different methods, and to be honest, I don't think any of them are any good. As much as I really wanted this to be a simple little project I could fit around other things, I'm not very happy with these results at all. Yeah, I'm not very happy. I would like the acrylic to be straighter and to fit better. I would like the sticker to have that like perfect finish. But I think by the end of this I was just getting incredibly frustrated, especially with this one where I couldn't put it on correctly. I was just getting incredibly frustrated at the finished result, I think. So I need to go away and have a think about how I would do it better. I probably completely draw out the windows like with so much detail on the acrylic and cut them out so they were straight. I don't know if I'd use a saw, if I'd use the snapping method. The snapping method works, but I think I'd need to do them in a straight line. So yeah, here's the finished result. You can see the bumps and the bubbles all in the windows. Yeah. But let me know what you think, and let me know if you have any hints and tips, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.